What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor at FightfulWrestling.com. It is June 10th. It is time for the Raw review. Time to talk Monday Night Raw with one Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how you doing? You are back from picnic in the sands.
Something like that. Yeah, I had an extended 3-day break from everything wrestling. It was nice. My wife had worked a half day. We went to the park for picnic with her little daughter. Saturday, Sunday, didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. But that's okay because luckily WWE is going to run back pretty much everything that's happened in the last month for the next pay-per-view. So I'll get to watch all that then. I'll get all caught up then. That'll be nice.
Have you seen anything from Sands of Time?
No, I stuck to my guns. Did not watch any of it. Saw everything's GIFed on Twitter. So I did see the highlights of two grandpas trying to murder each other via incompetence and being old, and just thought, wow, maybe it's just time to say dudes in their 50s shouldn't be main eventing giant shows with the entire thing on their back.
It was a trash fire. We ranted on it.
Really bad.
We ranted on it. If you guys missed that show, do not feel guilty about going back to watch our review. That was our most donated show ever, and that makes me very happy because all the monetization, all the super chats from our Super Showdown Sands of Time review are going to Sammy Frasiria and the Equality Federation. Big thanks to Jimmy Van for signing off on that. Also, big thanks to Andrew Thompson for stepping up and helping me out with that. Also, I want to thank my team this weekend. Carlos Toro, Ryan Cook, Jeremy Lambert, Andrew Thompson, Joe Holbert. We had a very, very busy weekend. From Super Showdown to Triple G versus Rolls to a crazy UFC 238 show. Just an unbelievable one. To New Japan Dominion. I reviewed that this weekend. And then on top of that, there was an Impact show that the Great Muta headlined. Holy crap. Lots of stuff this weekend. Check it out. I'll save plugs for later in the show, but just wanted to thank my news team in particular for that. They did a great job. We've got a dream team over here at Fightful right now. But let's go ahead and talk about Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins comes out apparently with the chair that he used to beat up Brock Lesnar. So they won't ever cover this, Alex.
Nope.
But if you put yourself in the mind of a Seth Rollins,
right?
How are you telling somebody to get that chair? Because you know how, like in baseball, somebody's like, "Oh, I got my first hit. Save that ball."
Sure.
And most of the time, you don't have to tell somebody in baseball because baseball's so statistically just based that they kind of know and they get the ball back anyway.
Right.
Do you think it's a WWE person in kayfabe who says, "Oh, we got to get that chair. This is a big moment," or do you think it's Seth going, "I need that chair for a promo"?
No, I think Seth took it himself to the back. He took it back to the hotel, slept with it under his pillow, and obviously he brought it home on the flight. Probably his carry-on item, safely stowed in the above compartment. It's a chair with dents in it, so it's probably from that arena. It's one of those weird things that they expect us to believe these kinds of things as though everything is next door to everything else.
A reminder, you can send a super chat if you're watching live on YouTube, and we will read your statement, answer your question. Scott Frame says, Toronto crowd cheering KD injury was terrible. I agree. I don't think it was as sustained as a lot of people think. And it was quieted down pretty quick. But yeah, that was gross. And hopefully KD is okay. Connor O'Neill says, just got out of Raw. Crowd was hot almost all night. Died at the chain segment and couldn't really make out the 24/7 title segments. They were muffled in the arena. I'm not surprised by that first part because I loved Raw until the Shane McMahon stuff. And really, that's the only thing that I look at and said, damn, didn't like that on this show. We also have Austin Daniels says, I really enjoyed tonight's show. I hope Cesaro is okay after that rough 6:30. We will talk about that. all things considered, I look at this Raw top to bottom, and I'm like, man, damn, they made sense of some stuff. They did some stuff. I had a good time watching Raw tonight, and that's even with my longtime dedicated Raptors team not doing so hot. Rollins says that it felt good to do that to Brock Lesnar, and that he's the only person that's ever done that to Brock Lesnar. Now, in traditional WWE standards, that's kind of a heel line, like almost. Like him touting his own thing. But, I mean, he's not wrong. Nobody's ever beat the brakes off of Lesnar quite like that, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. This whole storyline is so convoluted and bad. Like, Brock, I'm going to cash in on you. No, I'm not. I got a whole year, but wait, I've got to cash in on you because the lady told me to. And no, I'm not going to anyway, even though it would be a perfect time right now. I'm going to wait until I'm going to get on a flight to Saudi Arabia for no other reason than to do the thing that I could do right now. And then he shows up, and then Heyman drops the briefcase, which I guess makes everything null and void. If you drop the briefcase, you can't cash in, apparently, is what the video package told me. So this whole thing's been very, very odd. And the fact that the guy that they decide is going to anchor all the TV matches and pay-per-view matches around this whole Brock Lesnar feud without actually Brock Lesnar wrestling any matches is Baron Corbin, because of course it is. Why not?
Well, they made a whole lot more sense of that later, which we're going to talk about. But there's a little bit of storyline sense in Corbin getting a rematch. But the thing is, he was the idiot that grabbed the chair. He was the idiot that argued with the ref that got himself beat. Why does he get a rematch? That doesn't make any sense to me. Yep. Corbin comes out and tells the crowd to quiet down. They had some sustained reactions that interrupted him. I think that they kind of wanted this to be a Ziggler-Vicky situation, but it wasn't quite that. It was the Flavorite version of that, where you could tell Rollins wanted it to be too. He was kind of laughing in the ring that the crowd wouldn't let him talk, but this wasn't quite that. Corbin says that John Cone is going to be severely punished. He gets a match at Stomping Grounds, he being Corbin, not John Cone. Although, wouldn't be that much of a surprise, I mean, considering the John Cone bloodlines.
That's true. He is the father of a former Raw Tag Team Champion. So
I love how you say that with such excitement.
Yeah, it's true. The Raw Tag Team, the Raw. Yes, I mean, think of the lineage, the great lineage of Raw Tag Team Champions since Nicholas was forced to relinquish because of fourth grade. This is all fine. Turns out John Cone was severely punished by asking him to ref the match at the end of the night, the main event of Raw. So he was really severely punished. Yeah, this is all just it's very convoluted, and I mean, again, it is back to form. We're gonna have everybody come out and talk to each other. Somebody's gonna stand in the ring. Somebody else that person has a disagreement with will stand at the top of the ramp, and then they'll talk at each other for the most of the first half hour of Raw. It's just the way that they do it.
Corbin gets to handpick a special guest referee for Stomping Grounds, but Rollins says, "You don't have any friends, Baron." Out comes Sami Zayn. I'm unsure why he has any shit to give in this situation. But he comes out and says that he cares about Rollins as a person and talks about the toxic masculinity that surrounds Rollins and Lesnar. And he thinks that Rollins would be better off with Corbin as champion. Kevin Owens comes out and shows his support as a wild card, and he isn't even sure what that means. But there's a match tonight. It's accepted. Let's talk about the next thing. This is one of, I thought, the best squash angles that I've seen in recent WWE memory, but maybe even longer. It's a handicap gauntlet match. Now, keep in mind, this went to a bit of a non-finish on Friday. Lars immediately hits a freak accident on Kalisto for the pin. The rules were a little bit foggy to me. Maybe I just wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. Was I alone in that, Alex?
It was a 3-on-1 elimination handicap match that was wrestled as though it was a gauntlet match. You know what I mean? Like, it was wrestled as though it's not a 3-on-1 handicap match. If one guy comes in and Lars beats him, and then the next guy comes in and Lars beats him, and then the third guy comes in and Lars beats him. That's a gauntlet match, really. I mean, it's not a handicap match because at no time were all three guys in the ring versus. I mean, it's weird. It was just a weird thing.
They even went to the trouble of saying, and up next, it's
yeah, that was
multiple
odd.
times. So it was a handicap gauntlet match because, I mean, if Kalisto would have won, I don't think he was going to face Lince Dorado.
Yeah, I understand, but it's basically, it's the same basic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It didn't make a ton of sense. Sullivan immediately goes into the running powerbomb for a pin on Dorado, and then there's a little miscommunication with Metalik, but then he hits a big belly-to-back suplex. Lars pulls up Metalik and goes after Kalisto and body slams him on the stairs, Alex, on top of a piñata.
Yeah.
Which normally you'd hear me say, man, that's stupid, but the visual was phenomenal.
It was great. Those pianos exploded.
The piñata exploded. Kalisto, because he's great, was able to kind of take the bump but roll off of the stairs.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you're going to have three guys to make somebody look like $1 million, they got the right three guys here.
Yeah, I mean, I it's fine. I mean, the thing of most consequence that Lucha House Party has done in their time on Raw is have Lucha House Rules matches against the Revival like 6 months ago.
And they can't even get those against Lars right here.
Yeah, it's true. They were winning those matches with everybody in the ring at the same time. Why can't they do it against Lars?
But I mean, when it's 3-on-1, that's a little bit of a different thing. I mean, 3-on-2, sure, but
yeah,
I would have played that up on commentary and said, I mean, this is what Lucha House Party was kind of founded on.
Yes,
was the fact that they have an advantage. Lars pulled up Metalik and went after Kalisto, as mentioned, but he does the same thing to Dorado, slams him into the post after a freak accident on Metalik, pulls him up again. Lars finished Metalik with the diving headbutt. This got 3 different moves over as finishes, and 3 moves that we have kind of seen him use as finishes.
Yep.
When you've got a guy who doesn't exactly have the greatest repertoire in the world, that's a damn good thing to do for Lars Sullivan. I think this just did a great service for Lars Sullivan. Lucha House Party and Lars Sullivan knocked this one out of the park, I thought.
Yes. And now I'm done with it. You have to move Lars to something else.
We don't need this anymore.
The problem I see is that you're gonna do the exact same thing again next Monday. I won't be here. I'll be on a road trip, so you can talk about that with somebody else.
Hey, they want to do this at a house show? They want to do this at a house show?
Sure.
Hey, sure, man.
But my thought is we might see this exact same match, 3-on-1, but this time all 3 guys in the ring at the same time as part of the pre-show for Stomping Grounds.
Yeah, I don't need that. I need to see Lars move on. He destroyed these 3 guys. Then not only did he destroy them, he destroyed them just like with the deck stacked against him as much as possible.
We are in complete agreement. The problem is I don't trust them to move on from this.
Sure.
I don't know what they're very bad about knowing when storylines are over and when to move on.
Speaking of moving on, we didn't get a lot of that with the 24/7 title. This was weaved in and out of the show. This was something when I would do podcasts with Vince Russo, he begged the company to do. Weave a story in and out of the show. And regardless of what anybody thinks of WWE, of the 24/7 title, how it looks, how it's been portrayed, this title has done monster numbers for WWE on YouTube. And I don't just mean, oh, those are good numbers, Alex. I mean, pardon my language, fucking monster numbers. 8 million for R-Truth pinning Jinder Mahal on a plane. Like, this is I don't think you could have possibly dreamed this up.
This is what I said it should be. I wanted people getting pinned in their sleep. I still need somebody like waiting behind a door in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Like something like that, like something crazy. But this is all very, very good.
Let me hit you with some of these numbers. The pinfall at the tarmac, 6 million.
Wow.
We've got the segment last week, the lumberjack match, just a lumberjack match, 2 million. R-Truth being pulled out on the table or ladder underneath the ring, $2.5 million.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. $8.3 million for R-Truth pinning Jinder Mahal on a plane. Could not have been better. Oh, by the way, the arm wrestling match also got $12 million last week. $12 million. Is it any? Here's the funny thing. You know who WWE hired about a week and a half ago?
Who's that?
A senior producer from an arm wrestling league who apparently pitched the idea.
Of course.
$12 million. Bam, just like that. Good God. So the usual suspects are here for the 24/7 thing. The elevator situation had me very confused. Them waiting to get on it and all that. I don't get that.
I had to go back and watch it 2 more times to figure out what was going on. What it was R-Truth said, you guys got to go get a ref. If you don't have a ref here, you can pin me all you want. I'm not gonna lose the championship. So half of them, the heels, all decide they're gonna go run and get a ref, while everybody else follows Truth onto the elevator, and then the elevator stops. So the elevator,
in theory, wise.
Yeah. It's R-Truth, EC3, whose new dominant character trait is casual drunk. Cedric Alexander, who's out here being wistful for the days where he used to wrestle on Twitter. Then Carmella, obviously, and Drake Maverick, who's getting married soon.
Yes. So, the crew do I have an off-air story.
The crew they had in that elevator was all really good. EC3 did more to get himself over standing in an elevator than he's been allowed to in any scenario since he's been on the main roster.
Today, all things considered, I mean, social media and WWE, there has never been more attention on EC3 since maybe the day that he appeared in the TakeOver crowd. That's maybe it. Because there's that comparison image of EC3 doing his entrance gimmick where he points at the letters and how unmotivated a lot of people perceive him to be. Now, admittedly, I don't know if that's a part of this character, this red Solo Cup raising character or whatever that may be. And he's very good at keeping us guessing. Yeah. And I don't know if that was a management pivot or an EC3 pivot based on his booking, but I thought this was done extremely well. EC3 has a fork in the elevator and says that he is going to eat someone, which I thought was good. Yeah. And when Drake reveals that he's getting married, EC3 goes, "Why didn't you invite me?" And Drake goes, "You are my best man." I love later on, they are all giving Drake Maverick advice, and R-Truth confuses or mistakes Drake Maverick for Hornswoggle.
Yes, that's so great. I'm not Hornswoggle. I'm just a very small man. That's great.
So they have taken effectively, besides the ugly ass belt, say what you want about that and the introduction of it, they could not have fumbled the introduction worse. Mm-hmm. The fact that it is recovered to this degree is phenomenal because they have taken a bunch of people who aren't doing shit. And yeah, they look like idiots a lot of times. But I would rather than be entertaining and do something, especially something that is featured so heavily, than not doing anything. And that's what's happening. The elevator opens. R-Truth escapes thanks to Carmella. I keep digging this 24/7 stuff. I enjoy it.
No, yeah, Alex? No, the 24/7 stuff is certainly better than we might have hoped for after the first couple of times they used it on TV. Again, someone should explain what the benefits are of being champion. Like I guess you get a bump in pay. Like the thing is, I have no idea. No, like there's I guess being a champ is great, but that's not the way it works because we know that as a champ in any other thing, you get a bump in pay, you get more merch sales, all this kind of stuff. Is that what's happening with 24/7 champ? I mean, if they're gonna keep R-Truth as the 24/7 champ on and off for several months, R-Truth needs merch. And he's like, where it says like the 24/7 European TV title hardcore champion or something like that. Like there's got to be some new shirt that he can wear. Something.
Also, guys, yes, I am watching the game. I have 4 screens in front of me right now. I am very much aware of the Raptors score right now. Jimmy Van is there right now. So that's something. Becky Lynch seen with Seth Rollins backstage. Hey, glad they're giving a little nod to that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Every time they do that, it somewhat massages the intelligence of the viewer instead of insults them, which I like. Lacey Evans cuts a pretty solid promo, and they're back and forth. This is a UFC style that they used to do like on Fox a lot. Like they would have. Have you ever seen the John Jones Daniel Cormier side by side?
Yes.
It's phenomenal. Where John Jones doesn't realize they're recording and he goes, "Hey pussy, you still there?"
Uh-huh.
Like, and I kind of need some of that from like a Becky Lynch or somebody like that. Maybe somebody they're gonna turn heel that's pretending to be a baby face can do that.
That would be nice.
That would be kind of cool.
That would actually be really well put together and nuanced. The back and forth didn't bother me. Is the fact that they're still running back Lacey Evans again?
Yeah,
Why?
Doesn't make any sense.
Why? What has she done to deserve this?
Okay, before tonight, she had lost every single match she had since Money in the Bank.
Thank you. And we saw last week on Tuesday, she stunk out the joint against Charlotte.
Oh, it was tragic. It was
awful. Like
Goldberg versus Undertaker was the best thing that could have happened to Lacey Evans last week.
That's true. That was awful. It was a tragedy. It was terrible.
It was bad.
It was really, really, really bad.
I was so shocked, Alex, that they gave her that title match.
When they showed the thing, they're like, hey, let her or not, we're gonna have this thing, and they showed the graphic, Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans at Stomping Grounds. I was like, do you guys just like have you lost all passion for creating good wrestling? That you've decided that you're just gonna run this thing back? This not really special match you had a month ago, you're going to do it again, even though the challenger lost, and they don't even do automatic rematches when the champion loses. Yeah. Why is it when the challenger loses, she gets a rematch? That doesn't make any sense.
They should not have announced this until after next Monday.
Yeah, you could have easily done Alexa Bliss, who's a Raw person, versus Becky Lynch, and given any of the great women on SmackDown a shot at Bayley's title. As it is, there is no SmackDown women's division because you have Lacey Evans hopping over during the wild card. She's doing all the matches on SmackDown TV. It's Charlotte and Bayley, and then nobody else on SmackDown. What the hell?
Well, here's the thing. If they had to announce this Lacey match, they should have given her the win tonight, which she needed, given her another win next Monday,
and then
in a top contender match.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
And then do it. Then say, okay, well, she earned her way back into it after Becky spent all this time saying she was currying favors. So she did earn her way back in. That being said, this match couldn't have been more unlike last week's match, with the exception of Bayley's terrible sliding dropkick. I thought this was a good match, and Lacey Evans ended up looking really good in this tag match. But backstage, Alexa is talking to a dejected Nikki Cross. I'm loving the dynamic between these two. Just buddies, and Nikki is getting a little bit jealous of the attention that Lacey's getting from Alexa, that anybody gets from Alexa, because, maybe this is me reading too much into it. Maybe Nikki sees Alexa as responsible for her being on this damn show at all. Maybe. Like there's a lot to read into this, but Alexa asks Nikki to be in her corner. Now, here's the thing. I like this from a lot of different perspectives because this is one of the subtle things you can pick up on. Alexa wants Nikki there so she can have some backup.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to take advantage of Nikki. Nikki thinks that that's her buddy saying, I want your support so much.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, and if this was NXT, I would trust them to tell a long multi-chapter story with lots of nuance and a few twists and turns and some character development. And at the end, both characters will be more fully fleshed out. Whoever turns on who, whatever, it'll be something that'll be really well put together. It's the main roster, so I expect them to either forget entirely about this storyline or to botch it in terrible ways. Like I don't have any faith in them to figure out how to tell a nuanced story about how Nikki Cross just wants a friend and Alexa Bliss is obviously using her to get what she wants, without it coming down to like Alexa Bliss just saying at some point via hidden camera, like she did to Mickey James about Nia Jax that one time.
Yeah.
Like basically, it'll be Alexa Bliss talking to Lacey Evans on hidden camera about how Nikki Cross is crazy. Oh my God, I'm not really her friend. She's crazy, and she's a brunette. Can you even imagine? And then, that'll be the way that they end this whole thing.
But can anything be good here? Can it just be good while it exists? It is.
I mean,
they haven't screwed it up so far. We don't have to assume that they're going to screw up everything. We can wait until they screw it up.
You're right,
and then
Sean.
criticism.
You're right, Sean. They haven't screwed it up yet. So let's live in the moment while it hasn't been screwed up yet, and then wait for them to eventually, obviously.
That's what we're doing here. We can't hypothetically assume that they're going to screw anything up, even if they have an amazing track record of doing such.
Right.
But Bayley starts off aggressively. Lacey was the one that I had to pay attention to tonight because of last week's performance. I think that she had as good of a bounce back performance as she could possibly have. They put a lot of trust in Lacey tonight with that marrow salt that she hasn't done since it looked like she killed Natty with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she missed it, but it looked awesome. I think her Bronco Buster looks better than Carmella's, and she should probably keep it. Bayley hit a really good sunset flip buckle bomb on Alexa. And then Becky accidentally ran into Nikki Cross. Bayley got her knees up on Twisted Bliss, but there were a couple of women's rights waiting on her. Lacey gets the win. She needed this win real bad. Right. If for no other reason than people like you and I saying, what the hell is she doing in that match?
No, she needed the win. She needed to look good. She looked certainly much better than she did last week. I don't know. I don't know what the obsession is specifically with Bayley, with having her lose matches in her hometown. Especially, and everybody's like, oh, it's just to get Lacey heat. Yeah, heat on who? Not the person she's having the match with in 2 weeks. Like, Lacey beating Bayley doesn't make sense. Have Lacey beat Becky, that makes sense. But you can't have Lacey beat Becky because you got to keep Becky strong because Bayley is there to be beaten. And I'm
okay with Lacey beating Bayley, but Lacey should have done something underhanded to Becky to eliminate her from this match. She should have done something maybe illegal to kind of set that up.
Yeah, there was no. Lacey can't get more heat off of Bayley. She can do it off of Becky, but that's
Also, wouldn't have minded like Nikki maybe grabbing a foot or something.
Yeah.
To help out her buddy.
Again, these are the little steps that they would absolutely do in NXT to like show Nikki trying to impress Alexa by doing little underhanded things and saying, was that good, Alexa? Did I do good? And here they're just like, she's just out there and she accidentally gets run into by Becky. That's as much as she does.
Apologies, I was muted. Miz TV is next. I'm glad that they constantly admit that Joe was not pinned at Money in the Bank. At least there's that. That wrong is right. And Joe discusses potential challengers, but Miz kind of pisses him off, and Joe gets in his face. Now, I'll tell you what I don't like. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, Cesaro. I'm the challenger. No, I'm the challenger. No, I'm the challenger. We've talked about this type of shit.
Yep.
To death.
Yep.
So instead, what we'll talk about is the awesome match that followed. Holy crap, this was great. Braun and Lashley's one interaction here was infinitely better than what they did at Super Showdown.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if people this size in the 80s could do what these guys are doing now? The kip up out of the wrist lock, the drop down, the leapfrog.
Yeah.
They were going like 100 miles an hour. And I was like, whoa. Hercules Hernandez wasn't doing this.
No.
The Warlord was not doing this.
No.
Man, I just want to imagine Hulk Hogan trying to keep up with these guys. He slaps on a headlock. Slow down, brother. We've already got their money. One of those. That's what he does. I was okay with this booking, if only to see all these people working together. Ricochet has been allowed to be Ricochet over the last month.
Yeah.
To a degree. Man, you know what? Ricochet and Aleister Black, fantastic tandem to put together. But they were doing the same stuff every week. That's not been the case the last month.
No.
And Ricochet's crowd reaction tonight, I dare say, a direct correlation to the fact that he's been allowed to be Ricochet.
Right. He's been allowed to be Ricochet, but I think here's the main thing. He's been allowed to be Ricochet opposite Cesaro, who's one of the absolute best technicians that they have, who's never going to like lays off, not do his part in order to make the other guy look great. Those things where Ricochet spins around him and it requires Cesaro to help his momentum continue so we can eventually hit that flying head scissors. Those things are so important and they're so great. We'll talk later about Cesaro, what happens to him at the end of the match, but during the match, he was phenomenal. And as all the people were coming out for what eventually, obviously, was going to become a 6-man tag, I was like, yeah, no, if all of Stomping Grounds is a whole bunch of rematches and retreads, and then they have a 6-pack challenge among these 6 dudes for the U.S. title, that's the reason to tune in to watch Stomping Grounds.
Yeah, I hope that happens. Cesaro and Ricochet have amazing chemistry. Miz is very over in this match as well. Just great crowd reactions for a guy who, quite frankly, has not done anything over the last couple of months. Strowman mows a lot of people down and Lashley spears him. That's a nice twist on that spot. Instead of just going right to Strowman continuing that, Lashley just spears him out of nowhere. I liked it. There was this wild-ass spot that if it would have hit, would have been one of the coolest in recent WWE memory. Miz is on the apron. He back body drops Ricochet over the turnbuckles and ropes into a 450 body press that barely skims Lashley, but still a sight to behold. The skull-crushing finale and the 630 pin with Cesaro. This was an awesome match. But unfortunately, Ricochet landed across the knees of Cesaro, and it looked bad. And you know how it looks bad? Because Ricochet is selling it beyond belief. Like, he's rolling around, and he's like, oh, shit, I got to get pinned. And then he's like, oh, shit, I got to get out of the ring. And he's holding his knee. Ref throws up the X, helps him to the back. I'm still trying to find out from backstage exactly what's wrong, but
yeah, it was weird. From his reaction, I thought that the absolute full weight was coming across Cesaro's knees, and the angle that they showed in the replay was like thighs, which again hurts, and you could still hyperextend a knee or screw up all those tendons that connect the quad to the knees in that area. But I mean, you gotta hope for the best in that case, if nothing else, because you never want the label for a younger guy coming into WWE as being, he's reckless and he hurts people, because then all of a sudden nobody wants to work with him and stuff like that. And like Ricochet has been allowed to be Ricochet, and he's getting over and people love him. I would hate for any of this, A, to injure Cesaro because he's been doing good stuff, and I don't want him to get hurt and be out for a while. And B, I don't want it to be a thing that like throws a monkey wrench into what Ricochet's been doing.
NBA game is over. Warriors win. But we are still live. Toronto looks dejected. The fans there, disappointed. I'm hoping we get a look at a tearful Jimmy Van in the crowd. Probably not going to happen. Paul Heyman comes out and discusses last Friday. He's not happy. And he says, from now on, we're not telling Brock Lesnar or telling anybody where Brock Lesnar is going to be anymore. We're not telling you when he's going to cash in. We're not telling you anything. Now, if you listen to the Jimmy Jacobs interview that I did, he explains why it's important for WWE to advertise stuff like that, which is why I feel like they pivoted back and forth. And I don't believe that this was always the plan. I don't believe that this is what WWE always had in mind. I feel like they wanted to do certain things and they couldn't happen the way that WWE wanted them to. I like part-time Brock Lesnar holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that way, whenever he appears or doesn't appear, it means more. I like it a whole lot more than him having a championship for a few reasons. One, Alex, he doesn't have the championship.
Yes.
Two, I am an emotionally invested person in him not getting that championship because I don't want him to have the championship.
Yes.
So every time I hear that note hit, whether he comes out or not, I'm going to go, oh, shit, what's going to happen here? Oh, what's going to go on here?
Yep.
Because I don't want Brock Lesnar, as a viewer of this program, from a quality standpoint to win that. Now, here's the thing. It's not the same type of feeling that I have with, say, Baron Corbin, who I enjoy in the ring to some degree, but I am just incredibly uninterested in outside of that.
Right.
There's this weird thing where people are like, oh, Corbin's not a cool heel. He's just a heel. And I'm like, wait a second. So many of these heels that are cool heels don't have any real redeeming qualities. People just don't hate watching them. I don't hate watching Brock Lesnar, but I really enjoy watching whatever this is, not knowing what the hell's going to happen, not knowing if he was going to cash in on Kofi, not knowing if he was going to cash in on Rollins, seeing him get his rare comeuppance. I'm digging the way this has went, but what do you think of what Heyman said and perhaps the future of what will happen with this briefcase?
Yeah, I guess I would like this a lot more if they hadn't done the whole thing of like, Stephanie got mad, so we have to cash in. And now you're saying, no, you don't. So did he say that, like, I hired a team of lawyers? And like, I mean, like, it's a weird deal that like last week he was being forced to cash in, and then he tried and he failed because, you know, Paul Heyman dropped the briefcase, and now they're just, we're not going to tell you when we're going to cash in, which has been the way the briefcase has been since its inception years ago. So now we're back to where we should have been from the very beginning. It's a weird thing we had to do all that rigmarole to get to this point. But I do like that. What I won't like is the, let's say, once every month or once every 6 weeks, where on Raw you hear that music, and out comes Paul Heyman with the briefcase, and Paul Heyman teases giving it to a ref and calling in Brock, who's very clearly not at that arena.
Yeah,
and they do that over and over again until the time that they do it exactly that way, and Brock does come out. That will make it worth it. I just don't know when that's going to be, how far down in the future. I can't see him cashing in and not becoming champion. I can't see them doing that to Brock. So that's where I'm with you now. But I also am able to see into the future and say whenever he does cash in, he's becoming champion. So we're all very happy with him not being champion. But eventually, he's going to be champion. And that's the thing that I'm worried about for the future. But right now, I'm like, this is going to be good.
You know how WWE sometimes does the ass backwards thing of putting a title on somebody and then pushing them?
Yes.
I can't think of a bigger way to push somebody than have Brock cash in on them and then they beat Brock somehow.
Yeah.
That's a monster way. That's a way to do it. Wildboy87, thank you for the super chat. He says, do you know what the Leo Rush vignettes on Twitter mean? Will we ever see him on TV again? I have not seen these, but he was sent home, so to speak. I'm seeing the vignettes. Don't know what they mean, but I know that WWE at least didn't want him to be a lost cause. I'll say that they still hoped that they could make things work at the last time I checked. Up next, the iconic squash, Lisa Lace and Aaliyah Mia. Billy kicks the shit out of Lisa, sends her in a very nice wheel kick of Peyton. Looks really good. The Iconics hit their awkward finish for the win. Okay, they won. Did they defend was this a title match?
I don't think so.
Because the one that the jobbers they beat in April were.
Oh, then maybe this was.
Yeah.
But Renee kept saying maybe they'll eventually put the title on the line. So my thought was it wasn't. It was just like an exhibition between them and these two people that they found. This is all fine. Here's what they need to do eventually if they're going to keep doing this, is have all these matches be for the title for these jobbers. Like have them every week come out, and these two local women come out. And one time they come out with these two luchadoras, and they're wearing the masks and they're in full, get up, and they get beat. And the two women pull off the masks to be whoever. Like my vote would be Asuka and Kairi Sane finally, but whoever it is, they should absolutely lose the titles because they keep bringing in all these jobbers, and one time they bring in the wrong jobbers.
Yeah,
that should be the way
the Barry Horowitz
do it. Yeah, they should absolutely do that.
The Barry Horowitz, the 123 kid. Yeah. Rob Wilkins, thank you for the super chat. Yes, I did order my Nikes. Korosami says, what are your thoughts on the Becky Edge Twitter war? I think Edge should start tweeting for Beth, and maybe it'd have a little bit more meaning. But I mean, you got two of the best talkers that there ever been, like in the social media era at the very least. Damn. What do you think, Alex?
I mean, some of like when she starts like talking to Beth and saying maybe you should check on your frail husband, like it's like a little bit like again it's Stone Cold Becky, and I understand that's the thing that she's pushing for, a little bit more edge, no pun intended, but I'm fine with all this. I'm listen. I'm hopeful it leads to a match between Becky and Beth Phoenix. I'm hopeful that anything that Becky does on Twitter leads to a match between her and anyone else but Lacey Evans. Because right now, like, I'm not saying she doesn't have a future in this business. I'm just saying for right now, I'm done with her being this what it feels like to me, this never-ending story of Lacey continuing to get shots at Becky's championship, because it feels like eventually it's going to lead to Lacey too early in her career on Raw holding Becky's championship, and that I'm not okay with.
Drew McIntyre has bagpipists playing him out. Shane McMahon breathes heavily just on the microphone. This is stupid and boring and lame. Drew cuts a boring promo on a guy that beats him on pay-per-view 2 months ago.
This is so bad. Listen, I understand. Oh, ref bump. Oh, Claymore. Oh, Shane beat Roman. Wee. Like, okay, fine. You can't find something better for your top guy, your big dog, to do than to get involved in a months-long feud with the son of the dude who owns the company and that guy's Scottish pal, a guy who he's already beaten clean at WrestleMania, and again probably on Raw a few times. Like, I really love Drew McIntyre. I think he can be absolutely one of your top 3 or 4 guys in your company.
I think he's got to show some more dimensions. He has been so one-dimensional.
But the problem is that they're making him one-dimensional.
I'd never saw any dimension from him beyond this in Impact and Evolve in NXT.
I guess
you're right.
But you can capitalize on what this is.
Sure.
Like they failed to do when he was white hot and going after Braun Strowman in the fall. Like, he was white hot and he was completely unstoppable. And then they stopped him. They stopped him. He didn't. They said, no, we're going to cool you off. You're getting too hot. So I don't know. I mean, whatever it is, listen, I think it's fine that I think it's nice that Shane and his new best buddy shop at the same leather jacket store. I think it's nice that they have the same fashion consultant. It's a bit on the nose, but okay.
The person who beats Shane McMahon should be Drew McIntyre. That's the person who should, and it should be something that ties into Vince McMahon on this show. The guy who came out a decade ago and called Drew McIntyre the chosen one, and it takes one comment from Shane to be like, boy, was he wrong, or something like that.
I'm still waiting for someone to come out, preferably Triple H, and have Triple H tell me why he personally involved himself in that Universal title match on Raw where he handed the belt to Kevin Owens and walked out of the ring. Like, that was a thing where Triple H apparently said, Kevin Owens, you're my guy. Bye. I'll never speak of this again. So, like, I mean, you can sit there and say, I really want this to tie in to something from a decade ago where Drew was Vince's chosen one. But I mean, I just don't see it happening. I would love for that to happen, and I'm holding out hope, but I just don't see it.
So Dana Brooke was out during the commercial before Shane came out, but nothing real major. I'd still like to see her do a little bit of something. Shane drank out of the World Cup. That was funny. Mm-hmm. He brings out the Revival, and Michael Cole thankfully references the fact that Shane McMahon made this match happen, because the Revival had lost to the tag champions 3 times and had lost to the Usos on Friday. Good. I'm glad they made sense of it. They needed to make sense of it. And the thing is, I was ecstatic about this. And Alex, I shouldn't have been.
No, it should be
standard.
It should be standard. It should be a thing where if somebody gets a title shot they quite literally do not deserve, that you have to have somebody explain to us why they're getting the title shot. That should be a very simple thing. But unfortunately, it's not. It's a special occasion.
So Revival ended up defeating the Major Brothers and the Usos in a triple threat tag match. Very fast-paced. Go to a commercial early on. Scott Dawson trolling Hawkins in the camera is good stuff.
So good.
Like 1990s stuff.
Good stuff.
I like. Come back to see the Usos flying high. There aren't like a ton of crazy spots in this. It's just real good tag action, Alex.
Yeah, it really is. They very specifically from the very beginning, tags are required in this match.
I got to get a ref on the horn about that.
I understand that they were setting up for what the finish was, where Dawson stole a tag and then stole a pinfall.
They definitely here's the thing. They definitely matter as it pertains to who pins who.
Yes.
That's the only reason tags matter, because you can't get DQ'd.
Yes.
But in the sense that it matters because only the legal man can pin the legal man.
Yeah, that's what they matter. But here's the thing. It also draws attention to all your other multi-team tag matches or 6-person tag matches where tags really don't matter.
Yeah.
Like tags are not enforced. You're like, okay, fine. But I was glad at least to see they were saying that line to directly set up the finish of the match. So at least that's something.
This is 6 tag team pros. Hawkins and Ryder are very underrated in the ring, and a very underrated team. They hit Crime Time's old finish, but then Jey Uso super kicks Hawkins out of his boots. Scott Dawson steals the pin. So they made sense of why the Revival was in the match. They made a match that mattered. They had a good match. Then they even made sense of the Revival shortcomings. They kind of had to steal the pin from one team that's the champions and the other team that beat them to become the champion. There was a lot of stuff making sense in this match, and damn, I like that.
And the best part about it is what I loved about the Revival in NXT. They were dirty and underhanded, but not illegally so. Like Scott Dawson slapping an Uso on the butt right before he jumps off the top rope to land his splash, and then sneaking into the pinfall as Dash grabs that Uso and pulls him out of the ring, which is all completely legal in this match. That's brilliant. Like, is it underhanded? And did they kind of cheat to win? Yeah, but also they didn't cheat. And that's what's so great about them, is they're infuriating if you're rooting against them, but they didn't break any rules. So like that's what I loved about them. If they get back to that kind of thing, they'll be great. I want to say they kept mentioning that we call them Major Brothers, Hawkins and Ryder, about this amazing journey they've had since they won the tag titles, and how
on their YouTube show, maybe.
How great they feel about having held the belts for so long. I cannot remember the last time they defended those belts. Was it April? I mean, honestly, it's really easy to keep the belts for months if you never have matches in which the belts are up for grabs. I don't know. I will say another thing. The Viking Raiders completely absent from any of this. I'm assuming they work into this title picture now that the Revival have the belts. But the Viking Raiders were on main event tonight versus No Way Jose and Titus. So the Viking Raiders definitely got. Did they win? I don't know.
They for sure won.
They must have won. Please tell me they won. But it was a good thing they got called up from NXT so early and that they couldn't have defended those titles, the NXT titles, in that ladder match.
Is this the first week of the wild card that Roman Reigns hasn't been on the show?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. Firefly Funhouse, they referenced the commentary booth that Bray Wyatt invited R-Truth on. I like that. I like that. Why not? He takes a sledgehammer to one of the stuffed rabbits. What'd you think of this week's Firefly Funhouse?
I want to say a couple of things. The starting it with him nailing up a little, tacking up a sign, like a kid made it, that says "Abandon all hope, ye who exit here." Like again, I'm reading a lot into this because I feel like Bray is like perfectly crafting this in a way. The idea that if I leave the Firefly Funhouse, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's going. But here, I'm safe. Here, everyone else is safe. But if I leave, I don't know what's possible. That's interesting to me because that's a cool thing. Also, I don't feel so bad for Rambling Rabbit getting smashed by this giant mallet thing because, as we saw, he already got eaten once by the buzzard, and he showed up fine the next week. So I'm assuming Rambling Rabbit will be just fine next week. Also, the goop that Bray ate was supposedly Rambling Rabbit blood, was quite clearly a squash tomato because I could see the seeds. And also they have this thing where it's Rambling Rabbit's Bohemian breakfast spread or something like that. WWE shop, get on that. Sell me a jar of strawberry jelly with that label on it. I'll buy one.
Backstage, we see Sami Zayn approach Baron Corbin, and then later Shane McMahon. Shane agrees to make Zayn an outside referee for tonight's match. Okay. Zayn checks the combatants, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. I didn't like this match. There were cool spots. There was the swanton into the knees, but there wasn't a lot else. There was a gut buster that got messed up.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a weird deal that, like, Kevin Owens is now, I guess, the fourth most important part of this match because he's wrestling, but he's really not. Like, he's there to just back up his buddy, Sammy, who Seth insulted, and Sammy is there as the special guest referee on the outside, auditioning for when he's actually going to be the special guest referee for the Baron Corbin match. And all this is being done to make us think that Brock might cash in. So really, Kevin's just there to have the match. He's not actually part of the story. I do love that he's subverting all kinds of stuff with this. Like, he's the first guy who's come out and said, I guess I'm a wild card, whatever that is. I love that he's subverting that stupid trope. And then later, after he is declared the winner, he's lying down on the outside of the ring like this, and he just throws up one hand in victory. I thought that was brilliant.
Hey, I love a guy who doesn't care how he wins. Slipping a banana peel doesn't matter.
Sure.
Zayn had pulled John Cone out of the ring after Rollins hit a curb stomp, and Zayn had prevented a frog splash. Rollins got busted open a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to see Owens actually land a swanton. But other than that, I didn't really like this. Rollins kind of went into stupid babyface syndrome. He didn't get pinned off of being distracted by Zayn or anything, but Zayn DQ'd him. And whatever. Baron Corbin comes out and Rollins fights everybody off with chairs, and that is your end to Raw. And I thought it was a little lame. I don't know how else you end Raw.
No, it is lame because here's the deal. The most important thing, because the Universal title is more important than the WWE title, they've told us so many times. Yeah. The most important feud going on has to be over who has the Universal title. So the most important feud is a feud that nobody cares about because it's Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins again. So, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. But do we really care? Do we really believe at all that Baron Corbin's going to go into stomping grounds and beat Seth Rollins? No.
Hey, you know what would have been a good way to end Raw? Revival winning the tag titles with Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre laughing their asses off about it.
Yeah.
Celebration. There you go. Heels being portrayed as main event guys with guys that are being perpetrated as main event guy or portrayed as main event guys, and a title that's supposed to mean something.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We are back this week for SmackDown, listing your boy. We got FightfulSelect.com as well. Tons of stuff up there early. Tons of breaking news. Lots of podcasts over there. Warren Hayes every week. 205 Live, NXT, UK. We got the Weekender, non-WWE stuff. We have a retro review every month. Most importantly, FightfulSelect.com, guys, is the most direct way to support what we do here. Helps us pay our writers, our podcasters, interviewers, all that good stuff. It really helps us avoid being one of those sites that just copies and pastes everything. Our guys do their own transcripts. Our guys go out and do interviews, almost all of them. We write features. We do podcasts, a little bit of everything. And we are independently owned. We're not owned by a major media company or anything like that that has all those connections. So what we do is very independent, and that is the most direct way to support us. Go check out FightfulSelect.com. There's probably something there that you're going to like. Alex, what do you got going on?
Well,
now that you're on the Lesnar schedule, apparently.
No, I'm on Lesnar schedule. I'll be here for the SmackDown tomorrow night, and then I'm going to miss the Go Home Raw and the Go Home SmackDown next week because I'm going to be on vacay with my fam doing the first ever Pawlowski family road trip. Pile everybody in the car and drive, stopping at a few places, going back to we're stopping at my sister-in-law's house and going back to where I went to grad school, Morgantown, West Virginia, on our way to a Sesame Street themed amusement park because my little daughter cannot get enough. So we're doing her half birthday at a water park that got all the Elmo stuff all over it. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Next week, I am scheduled to be joined by Jeremy Lambert, one of our great writers. He actually interviewed Kojima and Nagata. You all may have seen that. He's done a lot of great stuff for us. You all are going to get to hear him. Also, he is starting a series alongside Joe Hulbert where they rebook the Monday Night War era through TEW. So Fightful Gaming will return. It's going to be a good time, guys. Leave us a thumbs up here. That really helps. Spread the word. You may have noticed I've changed the title a little bit to see how that affects things. But, guys, thank you all so much. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, we're out.